James G here with Tarpley Music in Fort Worth, Texas. If you need to find us online, just hop on to tarpleymusic.com. And so, got a Fender Squier here today. This is actually an FSR. It's a limited edition guitar here, but it is a Classic Vibe 60s Mustang. Now, you can find Classic Vibe 60s Mustangs that are still out there that are same parts and wired the same, but they're not going to have this cool competition color with this off blue and then the racing stripe thing. It's really cool. I really dig that. But it's pretty simple other than that, so let's go over it. So we've got a poplar body with, it's a gloss polyurethane finish there. The body shape, of course, being a Mustang. It's a maple neck with a C shape. And the scale length is 24 inches, so a little bit smaller than when you're thinking Strats and Tellies, who tend to be 25, 25.5. Of course, that scale length being your playable area, right, from the bridge here to the nut. Now, the nut is a bone nut, and this is actually, you can't tell, we don't have the bar in it right now, but this is a floating bridge with a vibrato tailpiece, so the just goes right in there. It's a real simple bar that just hangs out in there, and then got some old school, like your vintage style tuners here. And the fretboard is actually Indian laurel, so pretty common. The wood that's being used for a lot to keep costs down on this guitar. Plays fine, looks good. And these are narrow, tall frets, and there's 22 of those. So it's a very vintagey feeling piece because it's a lot of the specs and how things were with the 60s Mustang. That's why it's a Classic Vibe 60s Mustang, right? So these are cool, though. If you're not real familiar with the Mustang, they basically got switches here that affect both of your pickups. Now, these are Fender design Alnico style to replicate those Mustang pickups. But essentially, all you have is you have it on or an off is what this is. So if it's in the middle, the pickup is off. If you have one there, now that your neck is going. And if you have them going the same direction, that means you have both going together. If they're in opposite, now you're out of phase, right? The out of phase is just going to cut a lot, as you'll hear in the demo section there. And then, of course, if this one here is off, and then you got this one going down, now your bridge is on. So it's actually a lot less complicated than you would think by looking at these switches. So you can either have one on, one off, or both on, or both out of phase. So basically 4 tonal options there without messing with your master volume and master tone. And we're going to go through those. So like we normally do, I'm just going through this Blackstar St. James 6L6. Just going in it dry, flat EQ. And I'm just going to go through each one of those settings. So you'll hear the 4 different settings. That, both out of phase, and then the bridge. And then I'll do that exact same thing, but that way you'll be able to hear it with some overdrive too. All right, so we've heard this guitar on its own, but I want to take a couple of those tones and throw it into a song that I did earlier. All right, hit it, boys. Mustang. So it's really kind of a fun guitar to play for one reason is because it's a smaller scale length than I'm used to, and it's really kind of cool. So for me, I was discussing it. We were discussing it between takes as I was like, if I got this, I think I would just leave it in the neck position forever. Really cool tone. Their bridge isn't too bad, and both pickups aren't too bad. The out of phase, not for me. It just seems really kind of wonky, but someone might know a great thing to do with that tone. I just not my favorite, but hey, it is there, and of course you're turning these on or off anyway, so it's not like they really added it per se. It's just they gave you the functionality of being that's how pickups work, right? If they're going the different directions, they're out of phase. So it's kind of neat in that sense. But like I said, with the Overdrive, I kind of got some really kind of crunchy, cool neck sound out of this, but it's fun to play at a shorter scale like this. It's not, I don't have a ton of Jaguar and Mustang playing in my repertoire, and have never really owned one to play a whole lot. So that might be another reason why it's just cool, because it's so different from anything that I have. But man, I would totally have no problem just putting this on the wall because these look so cool. And it's not crazy expensive. They just look really cool on the wall with this old kind of a fatty headstock it has, So I don't know. But quite honestly, if someone's into kind of a retro vibe and maybe they have smaller hands or they're smaller, Mustang is not a bad idea to look at, just because, like I said, it has a smaller scale length. But to me, this is kind of a, oh man, I just kind of want that cool one-off different thing. This would be a cool thing for that. Maybe you've got a ton of stuff in your guitar arsenal, which is a phrase that we coined here by Kyle Ross, who's in our him and the guitar arsenal, right? But it would be cool to have. To me, it's not like, okay, I wouldn't get this. It's the only guitar I could have. It's not going to play all your gigs. It's not going to be extremely versatile. Not designed to be, right? Just cool with the old skunk stripe in the back. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of the out of phase? Maybe, it's hard to say. Once I go back and then we start, mixing this to throw to the video, I'll get a different listening point as opposed to playing it. But it just kind of seemed like it lost everything. You definitely hear the out of phase because you would almost think a slight phaser is on. So maybe that's what you could do to make it cool, I just don't know. I'm just a working nobody, right? But anyway, I hope you got some interest in, if anything, go and look up like some old real vintage Mustangs. They're killer to really look at. This is a really cool different vibe. There's just so many guitars over the years they've done. And hopefully you liked this video, at least the presentation. If you did, just hit the thumbs there. Like gives us a lot more help than you could possibly imagine. Of course, you haven't subscribe to the channel so you can see all the stuff that's coming out, because every week we pop up videos. And that way you can be with us every step of the way. And if you want someone to notify you saying, hey, we're going to pop up a video, you can just hit the little bell there, turn on the notifications, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.